Vesta 9 was a quiet colony. It had wide golden plains, crystal lakes, and a sky so clear that at night you could see 3 moons at once. The people there lived in peace, growing food, building homes, and sending supplies to other worlds. No one thought war would ever reach them. But on a calm afternoon, the sky changed. It began with a deep rumble, a sound that felt like it came from the bones of the planet itself. Farmers stopped working, children paused in their games. Everyone looked up. At first, they saw only strange shadows passing over the clouds. Then, light, bright and unnatural, cut across the blue. The Draviks had arrived. They came without warning, their ships shaped like sharp claws tearing through the atmosphere. They released a weapon that turned the air hot and heavy, scorching the land below. Fields caught fire. The glass domes of water plants shattered. The colony's defense force scrambled into action. Small fighter craft lifted off from the hangars, racing toward the enemy. But the Draviks were faster, more advanced. In minutes, human ships began falling from the sky, trailing smoke. Inside the colony's command center, Governor Reen tried to stay calm. "Evacuate Sector 3! Get the children underground!" she ordered. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. Outside, chaos spread. Families ran for the evacuation shuttles. Some carried only a single bag. Others carried nothing but the hope of survival. The air smelled of smoke and burning metal. In orbit, the Planetary Defense Station sent out a desperate signal to Earth Central Command. The message was short. Vesta 9 under attack. Dravik's forces overwhelming. Request immediate aid. On Earth, thousands of light years away, the message reached the war room of Central Command. Generals, scientists, and politicians gathered around a glowing map of the colony. Red dots spread across the screen, marking Dravik's ships. Blue dots, human ships, faded one by one. General Arya Cole stood at the center of the room. She was known for her calm under pressure, but her eyes now burned with a different kind of fire. She listened to the final transmission from Vesta 9. "Pilot. They're everywhere. We can't hold them. Tell my family." The signal cut off. The room fell silent. Everyone waited for the general to speak. Arya looked around at them, her voice low but firm. "They've unleashed hell." She paused, her gaze hard. Finally, a reason to get really vicious. The room seemed to breathe again, but this time, with a new energy. Orders flew, the fleet mobilized. Long-range battleships on Mars powered up their railguns. Strike carriers in Jupiter's orbit began loading fighters. On Earth's moon, factories started producing new combat drones. Across the human colonies, a message was sent to every soldier, engineer, and pilot. "Stand by. We fight back now." Back on Vesta 9, the colony's main city was burning. Governor Reen stood on the roof of the evacuation center, watching the last shuttle rise into the smoke-filled sky. She knew she might not survive, but she refused to leave until the last citizen was safe. Above, the Dravik's flagship hovered like a dark mountain, its shadow swallowing entire streets. Its weapons glowed, ready to fire again. But just before the shot came, a human frigate appeared from behind a moon, firing everything it had. The blast didn't destroy the Dravik's ship, but it made it turn away for a moment. That moment was enough for the last shuttle to escape into space. Inside the Dravik's command ship, their leader, Commander Zarth, watched the humans flee. He expected them to be broken, afraid, ready to surrender. Instead, his sensors picked up strange signals. From deep space, massive fleets moving toward Dravik's controlled sectors. He frowned. This was not the reaction he had planned. Meanwhile, General Cole stood aboard the flagship Iron Resolve in Earth's orbit. Her second-in-command, Commander Elias Brand, joined her at the observation deck. "They hit a colony," Brand said quietly. "They think they scared us." Cole shook her head. They don't understand humanity yet. She turned to him, her voice sharp and certain. When we lose something, we don't give up. We take it back, and we make sure it never happens again. Bran nodded. Then I guess it's time to show them what we can do. Cole smiled for the first time that day. Yes, and we're going to do it fast. Within hours, human fleets were on the move. War banners lit up the skies above Mars and the moon. News networks broadcast the general's words to every home. We will answer, we will endure, and we will win. Far away, as the last survivors of Vesta 9 huddled inside their shuttle, they caught a glimpse of the stars beyond the smoke. Somewhere, out there, their people were coming, and when they came, they would come with fire. The news of Vesta 9's fall spread quickly through human space. In markets, schools, and mining stations, people paused to watch the reports. There was anger, sadness, and a burning question. When will we strike back? Earth Central Command wasted no time. The War Council gathered in a tall steel building in New Geneva, the capital of the United Earth Federation. Around a long table sat generals, admirals, scientists, and leaders from every colony. General Arya Cole stood at the head of the table. Behind her, a large screen showed the Dravik's fleet movements. We have one chance to end this before they destroy another colony, she said. We strike hard, fast, and without warning. A young engineer named Dr. Keon Var spoke next. He was the head of advanced weapons research. Our ships can't match Dravik's speed, he admitted, but they've never faced human creativity. He pressed a button and the screen lit, up with designs for new technology. Adaptive drones that could change shape mid-battle, railgun-equipped frigates with rotating barrels, and a prototype stealth armor for capital ships. There was also a secret project. Its name was only spoken in whispers, Project Fang. No details were given in the meeting, but it was clear that it would be something the Draviks had never seen before. Across the colonies, the call to arms was answered. On Mars, giant hangars opened to reveal rows of fighters being fitted with new weapon pods. On Luna, pilots ran through zero-gravity combat drills, learning how to fight in total silence and darkness. In the asteroid belt, mining ships were converted into armored assault craft, their drills replaced with plasma cannons. Commander Elias Brand was given command of the strike fleet. He was known for daring tactics and a refusal to accept defeat. Standing on the deck of the flagship Iron Resolve, he addressed his crew. The Draviks think they can break us, he said. They're wrong. We are going to hit them where it hurts, and we're not going to stop until every last one of them learns why humanity should never be provoked. The crew erupted in cheers. Meanwhile, the Draviks were not idle. In the black, void of their home sector, massive shipyards built more warships. Commander Zarth studied the human fleet's movements. They are gathering forces, he said to his war council. They are not afraid. This concerns me. One of his lieutenants scoffed. They are fragile. Once we crush their main fleet, they will beg for peace. Zarth shook his head. You do not understand these creatures. I have seen the way they fight. They are unpredictable, dangerous. If we make a mistake, they will turn it into our destruction. Back in human space, the final preparations began. The strike fleet numbered over 200 warships, supported by thousands of drones. Supply ships loaded with fuel and ammunition joined the armada. Every soldier knew the mission's goal, not just to defend humanity, but to make the Draviks regret ever starting the war. The fleet's path to Dravik space would take weeks through normal hyperspace routes. But a new discovery changed everything. Deep in the archives of old exploration missions, scientists found data on a hidden hyperspace corridor, a shortcut directly into the heart of Dravik's territory. It was dangerous. The corridor passed near unstable stars and electromagnetic storms. But General Cole didn't hesitate. We take it, she ordered. "Speed is our weapon now." Before departure, Cole addressed the entire fleet via broadcast. She stood on the command deck, stars shining behind her. "Today, we carry the weight of Vesta 9. We fight for every life lost, for every home burned. The Draviks believe they have shown us fear. We will show them resolve. We will show them that when humanity is cornered, we do not bow, we strike." The speech was met with roaring approval. Across the fleet, pilots strapped in, engineers made last-minute checks, and soldiers loaded their rifles. Then, one by one, the ships activated their hyperspace drives. Streams of blue light stretched across the darkness as the fleet entered the corridor. Inside the hyperspace passage, the view outside the windows shifted to swirling rivers of light. The corridor was unstable. Shocks of energy rattled the ships, and navigation alarms blared. But the fleet pressed on. Commander Brand walked among his crew, speaking to them individually. He knew that fear could be deadly, but purpose could make a soldier unstoppable. "Remember why we're here," he told them. "We fight so no one else suffers what Vesta 9 suffered." Halfway through the corridor, sensors detected something. Dravik's scout ships. They had discovered the shortcut. The enemy opened fire, trying to disrupt the human formation. The fleet responded instantly. Adaptive drones deployed, shifting their shapes into defensive screens. Railgun rounds tore through the Dravik scouts before they could send a full warning. The battle lasted only minutes, but it confirmed one thing. The enemy knew they were coming. As the last scout ship was destroyed, Commander Brand looked at the swirling light of hyperspace and smiled grimly. "Good. Let them prepare. It will make their defeat that much sweeter." Ahead, the end of the corridor glowed brighter. Soon they would emerge into Dravik space, and the real fight would begin. The hyperspace corridor ended with a sudden flash. The human fleet emerged into Dravik space, the stars stretching across a dark, cold void. At first, it seemed quiet. No enemy ships, no warning signals. But silence in enemy territory was never a good sign. "Full scan," Commander Elias Brand ordered from the command deck of the Iron Resolve. Within seconds, the sensors came alive with red blips. Dravik's minefields filled the space ahead. Thousands of floating charges drifting in tight patterns. The mines were not just explosives, they carried energy nets that could disable entire ships. "They were ready for us," said Tactical Officer. Mirasol Brand's voice stayed calm. "They think we'll turn back. Let's prove them wrong." The adaptive drones launched from the fleet, small at first but quickly changing shape into long spinning blades. They cut paths through the minefield, triggering controlled explosions far from the fleet's main ships. Human frigates followed the drones closely, slipping through the gaps before the enemy could react. Once through the minefield, the first Dravik's ambush came. Sleek warships darted in from 3 directions, firing high-energy lances that lit up the void. The Iron Resolve shook from the first hits, but the human formation didn't break. Instead, Brand ordered something unusual. Split formation, 2 groups, opposite directions. To the Draviks, it looked like the humans were retreating. They chased one group with full force, leaving the other fleeing group ignored. But in reality, that second group was circling behind the enemy. Minutes later, they struck, surrounding the Draviks ships from both sides. The ambush turned into a trap. Against the Draviks. "Target engines first," Brand ordered. "I want their ships intact." Within minutes, 2 enemy cruisers were disabled and boarded by human Marines. In zero gravity, the Marines used magnetic boots and grappling hooks to move quickly through the corridors. They secured the ships and seized their control systems. When Commander Brand received the report, a grin crossed his face. "Repair them. We'll use their own ships against them." Hours later, the captured Dravik's vessels were repainted with human insignia and added to the fleet. The enemy's own technology was now a weapon for humanity, but the Draviks still had more defenses. As the fleet pushed deeper, massive energy storms swirled ahead. The storms disrupted sensors, making targeting difficult. Enemy ships slipped in and out of view like ghosts. It was here that humanity revealed Project Fang. The launch bays of the Iron Resolve opened, and out came the war beasts, towering biomechanical constructs that moved like living creatures but were powered by advanced AI and human pilots. Each one had armored plating like a battleship, claws that could tear through hulls, and thrusters for short bursts of high speed in space. The first Dravik's capital ship that tried to block the fleet never had a chance. A Fang unit leapt from a carrier, slamming into the enemy vessel and ripping open its forward cannons before they could fire. Inside one of the Fang cockpits, pilot Rena Halver spoke over comms. "Feels like wrestling a comet," she said, guiding the machine into another enemy ship. The Draviks, who had never seen anything like this, began to pull back. Their commanders were confused. The humans weren't just matching them, they were inventing new ways to fight in the middle of battle. But Commander Zarth, aboard his own warship, was not ready to retreat. He sent out a direct order to all nearby fleets. "Form a barrier. Do not let them reach the inner system." That barrier was waiting at the edge of the Dravik's homeworld sector, hundreds of enemy ships locked together in a wall of firepower. From the Iron Resolve, Brand studied the tactical map. "If we hit that wall head-on, we'll lose half the fleet," said Mira Soldat. Brand leaned over the table, tracing a line on the holographic display. "We're not hitting it head-on. We're going to tear a hole in one spot and punch through before they close it." The plan was risky. Every ship had to move perfectly in sync. One mistake could trap them in the middle of enemy fire. The fleet accelerated, drones flying ahead to create a narrow gap in the barrier. Fang units charged with them, drawing enemy fire away from the main ships. The first wave broke through, blasting apart a section of the wall. The rest of the fleet followed, engines roaring. Explosions lit up the darkness as human ships forced their way into open space beyond the barrier. By the time the Draviks regrouped, the humans were already past them, heading straight toward the core of their territory. On the bridge of his warship, Commander Zarth stared at the tactical screen, disbelief in his eyes. "They shouldn't have been able to do that," he said quietly. Back aboard the Iron Resolve, Brand looked at the stars ahead. "They still don't understand," he said. "We're just getting started." The Dravik's home system was supposed to be a safe place, a fortress of powerful defenses and endless fleets. But now, the human strike fleet was inside its borders, moving like a storm through the shadows of giant asteroids and silent moons. General Arya Cole stood in the command room aboard the Iron Resolve, watching the tactical map. Red dots showed Dravik's ships trying to regroup and defend their homeworld. Blue dots, her human fleet, moved steadily forward. The battle was fierce, but the momentum was shifting. "Prepare for a triple assault," Arya said calmly. "We hit their main defense ring from 3 directions at once. We do not let them breathe." Commander Elias Brand nodded. "The crews are ready, General. The Marines on the ground have reported no rest for the enemy. They are stretched thin. Down." On the ruined colony of Vesta 9, survivors had returned with the Marines to help. They knew the land, the caves, and the forests that still stood despite the fires. They worked together with the soldiers, setting traps and ambush points. A young survivor named Lyra guided a group through dense undergrowth. "This way," she whispered. "The Draviks don't expect attacks from the east. We can hit their supply lines." In orbit, human ships fired coordinated bursts of plasma and railgun shells. The enemy defense ring shuddered but did not fall. Dravik's warships darted in and out, trying to protect their homeworld's orbit. Suddenly, a flash of movement caught General Cole's eye on the screen. "Incoming enemy fighters," she said. "Intercept them before they reach the carriers." Human fighters swarmed out in response, swift and deadly. They used new tactics, dividing into small groups to surround the enemy and using rapid-fire lasers to disable engines rather than destroy ships outright. Capturing enemy pilots was becoming a new goal. The Draviks were confused by this. They had always destroyed what they couldn't kill outright. To the humans, every captured enemy was a potential source of information or a future bargaining chip. Back on the surface of the Draviks' homeworld, the battle was even fiercer. Human Marines fought house to house, clearing the alien buildings room by room. The Draviks used their superior strength and strange bioweapons, but humans relied on quick thinking and teamwork. Lieutenant Harrow, leading a squad, called out over comms, "Enemy retreating to the underground tunnels. Prepare to follow." The tunnels were dark and dangerous, but humans had trained for this. They used portable lights and sensors that showed heat signatures through walls. Slowly they pushed, deeper. In space, the tide of battle turned more clearly. The human fleet broke the defense ring. Dravik's capital ships were being disabled or captured. The enemy fleet's morale began to falter. Commander Zarth, watching from his flagship, felt the weight of the defeat. "They are relentless," he admitted to his officers. "Their fury grows with every loss." "We must regroup and strike harder," one officer urged. "No," Zarth said. "We must understand them. They are not like any enemy we have faced." General Cole prepared for the final phase. "We will take orbital control," she told Brand. "Once we do, the ground troops can make their move on the capital." The last battle was intense. Human ships dodged enemy fire and concentrated their attacks on orbital weapons platforms. Fang war beasts tore through heavy armor and cleared paths for the fleet. After hours of fighting, the Dravik's defense collapsed. The Iron Resolve led the charge into the capital's orbit. Below, human Marines landed in drop pods, prepared to finish the fight on the ground. Survivors from Vesta 9 cheered as they watched the human flag rise above the ruined city. Commander Brand looked at the view, his voice low but proud. "They thought we would break. Instead, we break their will." General Cole nodded. "This is only the beginning. We fight to win and to make sure no one else suffers like Vesta 9. The Draviks were forced to accept a ceasefire. Their leaders signed a treaty that would limit their military power. The galaxy had learned that humanity was a force that could not be ignored or pushed too far. On Vesta 9, the survivors planted a new flag. It stood tall against the wind, a symbol of hope and strength. And far away, as the stars shone quietly, the humans prepared for what might come next. Ready to defend their home, their people, and their honor. The Dravik's capital world was scarred and broken. Cities lay in ruins, and the air was thick with dust and smoke. But the human fleet still held the sky, and the ground forces were ready to finish the fight. General Aria Cole stood in the command, center of the Iron Resolve, looking out over the battered planet below. Her eyes were steady. "This is the moment," she said softly. "We end this war, but we do it with honor." Commander Elias Brand joined her, his face tired but determined. "The Dravik's leaders are trying to send peace envoys," he said. "They want to surrender." Arya nodded. "Good. We will listen. But they must know. Attacks on civilians will never be forgiven." The envoy ships landed on a neutral zone, where humans and Dravik's representatives met under heavy guard. The talks were tense but brief. The Draviks agreed to dismantle their war fleets and to respect human space. Back on the ground, human Marines cleared the last pockets of resistance. They treated prisoners with respect, offering medical help and safe passage. The difference between humans and the Draviks was clear. Mercy was a strength, not a weakness. In the ruined capital city, survivors from Vesta 9 returned to help rebuild. They planted gardens in the ashes and built homes where bombs had fallen. Lyra, the young survivor who had guided the Marines, looked up at the sky. "We were broken," she said, "but we came back stronger." In the fleet, General Cole addressed her people over a broadcast. "This war has shown the galaxy what humanity is capable of. We can be kind and strong. We will defend our homes, our families, and our future." Commander Brand smiled quietly. "If they think this was the worst we can do, they are wrong." The Draviks now knew that humans fought not only with weapons, but with heart and courage. And the galaxy watched, learning that when pushed, humanity could become a force more fierce than anyone expected. Far beyond the war zones, the stars shone brighter. The humans had earned a new reputation, one of fierce protectors who never gave up. And as the iron resolve moved away from the Draviks' homeworld, Brand looked to the stars and said softly, "If they unleashed hell, we showed them how to fight fire with fire.